Hey everyone, Therese here from SpiritSearch.guru. Today we're going to be talking about ghostly encounters, and we know most of you have had them, and even if you didn't, there's a lot out there who still believe. So we thought we would just give your eardrums a little bit of love today with some of the things that you haven't encountered but you do believe in. Today I have with me a very special friend named Bobby, and I'm going to let him take it from here, and he can introduce himself and let you guys know all the good stuff. Hey, Bobby, you there, honey?
Hey, Sharice, how you doing, sweetheart?
Good stuff.
Thank you for having
B,
me on.
oh, it's my pleasure. So, B, why don't you go ahead and tell people, why I even brought you on and what's going on in your world when it comes to stuff. But also, let the people know who you are. What are you all about?
Oh, well, in general, I'm just a very easygoing, down-to-earth guy, musician type. But anyways, I really appreciate you having me on your show.
My pleasure.
Yeah, it's very interesting, to explain about the spiritual world in general. A lot of people don't understand, a lot of people do, but it is a difficult topic because a lot of people don't really want to talk about it. Yes.
A lot of people are afraid to talk about it because they don't want to be called foolish, or they don't want to be compartmentalized as a nut or something of that nature. And little do they know
Exactly.
that there's like, for instance, in Thailand, there's people who love their ancestors so much that they actually have New Year for ancestry as opposed to New Year just to celebrate the New Year coming in.
That's actually very true. And, a lot of people should really think about that. Like in old generalities about any kind of tradition on how you think about spirituality. It's a very, straightforward situation. Just a lot of people, you got to be just very sensitive about it and really be open about it. Like how I've been. So it doesn't bother me. I think it's a beautiful thing.
Awesome. You see, I agree. And, obviously that's why I'm creating this whole spirit search thing, because it's not necessarily just searching for spirits. It's also searching from within what we've experienced in life and what we've gone through. And, already what you've shared with me and what you've discussed, I'm already, so excited for everyone to hear it, because you have experienced it ever since you were 7, your first encounter.
Yes.
What was that like?
Well, it was actually, it was very terrifying at first, to be honest. How it all started was I unearthed a artifact. It was a bow and arrow and arrows. And whatever, when it all came down to it, it was confiscated and put into a native art museum.
What?
But, yes, and that's when everything started for me. Everything paranormal to poltergeist.
Sorry to cut you off there, but
it's okay.
So how did you find this bow and arrow, and where was it? Like a general area?
Well, actually, it was down in the neighborhood where I grew up, and it was a school. And it was in the playground. I digged a hole in this school, right? And it was actually Regent Park School. And I dug and I dug and I dug. And I know it sounds kind of foolish. People would make fun of me about it, but then I came across this item, and it was wrapped in a very hard leather wrap, and it was tied. And I don't know, it got confiscated eventually, but then that's when everything started.
But when you were digging, you just kept digging, and other people were just like, whatever he's digging for.
Yeah, they just
you found this. What did you do with it?
Well, I handed it to a friend of mine so I can climb out of the hole. And eventually after that, it became a tug of war over it. And to make a long story short, it just got confiscated by the school. And when it all came down to it, I guess what they did was they realized that they were on top of an Indian burial ground, right? So they sealed it all up and dug it up, and who knows what happened after that. I really don't know. But that's when it all began for me. I mean, everything.
So take us through exactly what happened.
Well, it all started, it was pretty interesting, actually. From, oh my God. Okay, here we go. All right, like we used to play a little game with me and my sister, right? We come in and we scare each other from room to room. And, just come in and just whisper our names and just kind of do a growly thing type of thing, And so going back and forth, so I heard it again. I'm tired, I'm sleepy. I go in there, she's snoring. It wasn't there. My blankets get pulled out. My bed starts jumping. It's I used to just think and close my eyes and not think about anything. From apparitions coming out of the closet. I can go on from water running, radio station changing, cupboard slapping open. It was crazy. I didn't even want to go into that apartment no more. I would have to go in there and wait for somebody. It was really, it was very difficult at times, I mean, you'd be sitting there using the washroom, and someone's like banging on the door and twisting a knob. There ain't nobody there.
Oh.
Just me. I'd open up the door, look around. Nothing going on. But I'd always see a dark shadow.
And so when you would see this, did you share this with anyone, or was it something you just...
Actually, I was pretty quiet about it. I stayed quiet because to be honest, I mean, like, I was trying to comprehend it in my mind. I mean, there was just one time that really freaked me out. I mean, like, I love music, and I was sitting there and I was practicing one day, in front of the mirror playing guitar. And I was staring at a picture of my sister. And it's a beautiful picture with her with a rose in her hair. And she looks nice. But for some reason, it just kind of spooked me out. So I just put it down, face down. And then when I was done practicing, I then said, okay, because like I'm in my mother's room, right? And you're not supposed to go there. Anyway, so I wanted to make sure everything was cool. I straightened out the bed when I was playing guitar. And then I went to set up that picture, and that picture just had red eyes and a wilted rose in her hair. It looked so goddamn evil.
Wow.
It was just too trippy. It was a really crazy place there. Let's just put it that way. I don't know what happened,
Right. So do you feel that this indigenous spirit from the Indian burial ground followed you, and do you feel that they were angry or curious?
I think more or less that they were angry. He or she was angry. I do believe it was a he. It was pretty interesting. About necessary areas to where how things happened. Like it was just too crazy. It got to the point like when I did get older, I wasn't afraid anymore. So I would just say, you win. Like, okay, do your thing. You know what I mean? I'd laugh about it and I'd walk out. But before all that, it was kind of crazy. But I do believe I had someone that helped me out. I did meet a lady spirit, which was really interesting. She touched my face. Take
us from the beginning of how that happened.
It was pretty cool. There used to be this one school that used to open up the doors where you used to go swim, and it would be around 6 o'clock, I think. And so we decided to just go ahead and just bug around the school, right? And we got up there, and here's this lady, and you could hear the music playing, and it's one of them radios, where it's got the big old horn.
Mm-hmm.
And it's playing some old-fashioned music. And she's dancing around it as she's pushing it up the hallway. They all ran. I stood there. I was fascinated.
Mm-hmm.
She came up, and the music stopped, and she walked slowly to me. And she put her hand on my cheek. And then slowly turned around, went back down the hallway with the music playing, and then disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was the most coolest experience I ever had with the spirit. And she's still with me to this day.
How do you know that? What makes you feel that she's still with you?
Oh, it's very simple. I know her voice. She whispers in my ear. She goes, "Bobby, darling, it's time to get up." Right? And then my eyes would open at 4:44 in the morning. And my alarm clock was always set to 4:45.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd watch her walk out of the bedroom with her back, but she's always crying.
Mm-hmm.
Always crying. Don't know why. I still don't know why. I don't like to classify myself as a clairvoyant or a psychic or medium. I just can sense, and I could see sometimes. That's all.
Mm-hmm. That's very interesting. Have you ever researched what was on that ground before the school was there?
Yes, actually. Thank you for asking.
You're welcome.
Apparently it was an Indian burial ground that was stretched out way up to the top of Bloor, and I do believe it was in between the areas of, oh my God, I'll just be, to be safe, Sherburne to River to Downey King to all the way up to Bloor, and all in that one area. And as
this is in Toronto, Ontario.
Yes, Toronto, Ontario, yes, in Toronto. And in that area, there's a few grave sites that are stuck. You get up there with tombstones, but and that whole area is just like that, period. So it's very awakening, to say the least.
Right. Now, you said that you don't consider yourself a clairvoyant, but that's totally what I would sense you to be, someone that the spirits are totally comfortable contacting, because let's face it, spirits are very much like children, very much like wildlife without the body, and they have the essence of that need to feel safe. And if they find someone that they can attach themselves to, especially if it's a sad, howling spirit full of sorrow, and she's attached herself to you because she feels she can take care of you, waking you up at 4:44, But, so I would consider you a clairvoyant in many respects. Now, you and I were discussing something earlier. You had mentioned something to me that I found very common in the world of spirituality and ghostly encounters, something that I hear so often. And you put a little bit of a different spin on it. You mentioned that you saw the black shadow, which a lot of people see that. But your thing is, you're like, some of them are good and some of them are demonic. Can you give us view on both that you have encountered and what your view is about it?
Sure. Not a problem, Therese, and well said.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. There's a lot of spirits like to cover themselves into a dark shadow. It's like a they're manifesting, into something that they want to scare you about. And they're hiding their own beliefs or what they did. And a lot of people got to understand is that when you die the way you are. Whether you're miserable, sad, happy, whatever. you know,
Mm.
and a lot of angry spirits will do that. They will try to scare you. They want to manifest, you know, and that's when you see that shadow. But there's that other shadow, right? And it's
Mm.
a smell, and it's very distinct. And you know when you come in, you know, if it's heavy, you can't breathe.
Mhm.
You start opening up the windows on a nice windy day, you know something's wrong. You know, you
Mhm.
got that feeling. And then if you see that shadow in particular, it's really intimidating. You'll feel it. You know,
Mhm.
now that is demonic. You know, and I've experienced one, and I will tell you, it's really hard to fight something you can't see, but it's very important to have a very clear mind. Don't show your fear. Make sure you step up. Make sure you're clear about everything and laugh. It kills
Mm.
it. It kills it. Either one, it will kill it. But for demonic, you need help. Right?
Mhm.
And it's plain and simple. You know, it's too overpowering. There's nothing to do about it. They will torment you. You know, I've
Mm.
experienced it. So, but for the other shadows, as I would say, as we were talking about, they like to shadow themselves like that, to be like that. But you could tell the difference. Well, for somebody who's very sensitive, you could tell the difference.
Mhm. It's interesting because when my dad passed on, I did see a shadow. It was a more nebulous shadow, but it had the outline of his dreads and his whole entire body. And it was the third day, which is also very common when a spirit passes over, the third day of the visitation. So that was a good feeling for me, but I was still scared just because it was not a common thing back then. He died when I was 17, so I was still very young. Now, the thing is, I just want to take it back to the scent, and then I want to take it back to the like the demonic presence and how laughter killed it. I really, really love that point. But now, scents, I've heard many people say that when they know when their grandmother is visiting, for instance, because they will smell their grandmother's perfume, or they'll smell the toast that the grandmother made for them, or a certain meal that their grandmother, not just grandmother, but like ancestor in general.
Or cologne, or a cigarette.
Cologne. You got it, a cigar, cigarette, you got it. And so this is exactly what people will be like, oh my gosh, I just smelled it in the air. And, you know, so those scents are very common. What is the scent of a demon? Is it, what would you say? Is it musty? Is it skunk-like, or?
Okay, I don't know, and you probably never, but I have. But anyways, the smell of that, when someone's been laying dead, you know, for let's say like about 3-4 days.
So like a copper blood smell?
It's just a crazy smell, and it's kind of mixed in with the smell of death with a really, really deep, earthly, dirty smell. Like, you know, your nose is like dipped into it.
Mm-hmm.
It's very musty, it's very heavy, and you start to get dizzy. And okay, here's a good thing. When you know that something's trying to happen, you never get up and all of a sudden you're all dizzy.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's of someone.
Okay.
Right. And but you don't smell it, right? Like when you get that smell, you'll know it's crazy. It's crazy. You know, it doesn't happen a lot. It doesn't happen a lot to a lot of people. Maybe it does, but never to me. Only a couple of times.
Right. And that's very interesting.
Yes.
That is a very, very good explanation of, like, very thorough of what it would smell like. Like, I've never smelled a rotten body, but I could only imagine that it would have that strong copper blood scent. And so that's interesting. Now, what has a demonic spirit done to you, even though it hasn't happened often? What is it that you remember that has happened to you?
It's pretty interesting. I remember this one time, right? And how it, like, I'll be quiet. I was sitting there and I was watching one day, like, the mother of my children, when I was living there. And I just kept looking into this back room where she worked, and the light was off, right? And I knew something was going on. I felt it all along. I knew something was happening, and I just said, shut the door, and the door shut. And I said, open the door, and the door opened. I said, shut the door, and the door shut. And there ain't no kids down there. The kids all are upstairs. Now, the mother of my children, she comes down. She goes, what are you doing? I said, I want you to sit down and watch this. Right? I said, open the door. And it did it. And I said, shut the door. And it did it back and forth. She was like, yeah, right, the kids are in there. I said, go ahead and go look in there. And this is what I was telling her. I said, there's something going on here, right? There was no one in there. She went in there, turned on the light. Kids are all upstairs, whatever. Not even a couple hours later, I got picked up and thrown up against the wall. I could hear it breathing. I could feel its breath. I could feel its growl. And I was like literally about maybe 1.5 feet off the ground. Let me go. Let me go eventually after screaming. There was nothing I could do. There was nothing I could do. But all I know is that this thing was just nowhere. Nowhere. There's nothing I could do.
Wow. Wow.
So that was my last little encounter with the demonic spirit. But, I'll never forget it. It was me. But what are you going to do, right? It's only brought upon, like, depression, if there's stress in the area, This is what I got to really stress to people. It's like, look, change your life around. Do not bring hate home. Ignorance, no, nothing like that. Just try to stay positive, and you'll stay positive, and your whole life will be positive in general. But when, this is when evil spirits try to find you, is when you're down and out. And you got to change your life around. Plain and simple.
I agree with that 100%. A lot of people who, a lot of homeless people, for instance, I've before about spirits just out of the blue, and they've said the same thing to me. Sometimes they feel like something is manifesting inside of them when they drink strong alcohol, and I guess that's where they get the word spirits from. I'm just assuming when they say they serve wine and spirits and beer somewhere.
Exactly. Good analogy. Good point.
Thank you. And I've always been like, okay, because and I find that people do crazy things when they're on the spirits, alcohol, when things are 40% alcohol and over. What happens to them, they make certain decisions that don't make sense because a lot of the time something has taken over them. And, so that's very interesting. I love what you said. It targets people who are maybe weak at the moment, and not necessarily weak in spirit. Their spirit can be strong, but maybe they're just feeling disheveled in life, maybe not focused, and they feel sad, and then they are targeted.
Yes.
I want you to take us to the feeling of that now, like the lady, if the lady that stays with you, like when she comes to you, it might not be often, but when she does come to you, or when the last time she came to you, she's kind, she's sweet, she cries and stuff of that nature. She sounds like a really good spirit to me.
Yeah,
but does she? Yeah. Do you ever feel scared?
No. I never was, and I still ain't. She's actually pretty interesting. I mean, like, it's almost like a guardian angel, but she's lost. It's almost like I feel like she misses her husband or her family, it's almost like something tragic happened. I never really looked into it, you know, but it was the school we worked up in.
Right.
So it was, yeah.
And you know, they
Yeah.
tore that school down now. There were a lot of complaints about that. I had a encounter one time myself in that school at the very top by the home ec class, the home economics class, up the stairs. Apparently, one of the teachers was pushed down the stairs. So, and she went on early retirement. And so it is known to be very haunted, and they tore the entire structure down and they rebuilt it just beside that original structure. The pool is gone. Everything's gone.
Oh, not the pool.
Yeah, yeah, the pool where your lady in waiting was there.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, she gave you a good notification of which era she came from because of the record player itself with the horn coming out of it. So she let you know which era she came from. When she comes to you and you hear her voice, do you ever see her any longer, or you just know it's her when she speaks in your ear?
No, I see her. She's always standing at the door. Like, I'll hear it in my ear. And then she's always standing at the doorway going out of my room. She'll glance and turn her back and cut the corner. Always. It doesn't matter where I live. And it's been way over a decade or more since she's been in my life, 2 decades. You know, but she's definitely does not frighten me. She does not frighten me. You know, it's I do see a lot of things. You know, I like to go out and venture, and you know, it's something. It's a hobby to me. I'm very intrigued with the paranormal. It helps me. I think a lot of people who's ever had an experience should really just go ahead and go for it. If you're sensitive that way and you can see it, I mean, go for it.
Great. And does anyone else have this ability in your family? Does your mom or?
Pretty interesting you said that. You know, I remember one time, right, my brother, right? We're just laying there, and, you know, we had 2 beds in the room, right? So he's laying there, I'm laying there, and we're talking. We had the window open, and it was a hot summer night. And then comes this cage, right? And it's got a white bird. Now, I can't say if it was a dove or not. You know, I don't know. But it's flapping its damn wings, and it's in a cage, and it lands on the corner of my brother's bed. My brother looks at me and says, "You see that?" I said, "Yeah, I see that." And he's like, what do I do? And I said, "Don't move, man." Right? So it just kind of like, we just both watched it. And just kind of kirking around with a pigeon of some sort, but it was white. Anyways, and then next thing you know, it flapped its wings and went out the window. Me and my brother both ran to that window and clunked their heads so fast. I couldn't see this damn thing. You know, and the whole purpose of the thing was in Greek mythology and stuff. Like, it's basically what in mythology, what it means in Greek mythology. It means early marriage, early kids, and love. Well, that's what my brother's got. So.
Oh, really?
True story. Anyways, I know we got to get cut off.
Well, it said 90 seconds, but before it gets cut off, but I do want to wrap up with anything that you have to say about yourself. Share with people, like, you are a musician. Are there any links or anything you want to share, or just your name and people can find you somewhere?
Oh, well, yeah, that's really cool, you Shirley. Yes, hey, you know what? You can log me up, you can look me up, you know, do whatever. Friend request me, ask me questions. I could talk about it. I got many experiences about this. If you want to talk music, go ahead, hook me up. Not a problem.
And you're a guitarist?
Yes, I'm a guitarist.
Okay, awesome. You know what? Music, a lot of musical souls definitely are very connected to the spirits and to the paranormal. So I'm definitely not surprised that you actually have that ability. And you're welcome. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming and sharing your stories. And I know you have a lot more. So we will be doing a second episode with you. And
Hey, that'd be cool.
yeah,
Definitely.
you know, like I'm really interested in the lady, and you know, especially that bow and arrow that they confiscated and put into
Oh,
a
God.
museum.
Man, do I got so much to tell you about what happened on that. But
Yeah, maybe we can like, do a whole follow-up one where we can talk about the bow and arrow and what made you start digging down there. And
I don't know.
right?
I
See?
really don't know.
You were being called. I truly believe that you were being called. There are a lot of messengers, and some people might disagree, and they might be like, no, why was he being called? Because the native person was clearly disturbed when you got the bow and arrow, but there was a connection.
Think so.
I you know what? So. I really feel there was a connection, and I really feel that you have that ability to be able to manifest energy that can be connected to the spirit world, and it's something that will grow so much more, especially with people listening to your voice, listening to your experience, and feeling free to be able to also do the same thing you're doing. Just tell the world. A lot of people are not interested in expressing what they have.
No, they're not.
In the paranormal. Right?
Definitely true. I mean, it's such a touchy subject. I mean, a lot of people like to explain. But, you know,
yeah.
You know, I want to say something, Cherise. Thank you so much for having me on. This has been a pleasure.
It's been my pleasure as well. And